And our theme for the month is inner conversation, outer manifestation. Inner conversation, outer manifestation. Our theme for the month. I've been letting y'all get away too long. Been letting you get away for too long without some fire and brimstone. Some fire and brimstone. Amen. I see some people already shrinking up and all of that. But I thought about the words of the song, an old song that says, you better mind how you talk. You better mind what you're talking about. You can't go around talking about everybody. And I'll add everything. And then it goes on to talk about, because one day you're going to have Judgment Day. Now, of course you know that in our teaching, the New Thought, Ancient Wisdom teaching, we don't do fire and brimstone. We don't do it. But it made me think, though, the fact of the matter is that there's some nuggets in that song. There's some nuggets in that because, you know, so often you hear songs and preaching and things like that that warn you that there's a judgeful and angry and wrathful God outside somewhere that's going to punish us for what we say and punish us for what we do and punish us and send us to hell and all of those kinds of things, and you better get right, you better turn your life around, you know, all of those things that we so often associate with that. And we understand that while some people, that is their approach and their way of thinking of things, we see things differently from our perspective. And one of the things that we say in New Thought is that we are not punished for our sins, but by them. We are not punished for our sins, but by them. Now it's important again because you hear the word sin, and everybody started, you know, kind of, because you've not heard me talk about what miserable sinners we are and all of those kinds of things here. Because what happened over the years is that the idea of sin and sinfulness got changed from the original intent. The fact of the matter is, sin was simply a term that was borrowed from archery that meant missing the mark. It was never intended to be a condition that people were born into and somehow had to find themselves saved from, a reality that they had to get themselves out of. But it meant just simply missing the mark. Now, you might be wondering where I'm going with all of this morning. And the idea is that when we recognize and realize that our inner conversation, the things that we say, can make us miss the mark. They can take us away from what it is that we really, really wish to desire and have in life and have manifest for ourselves. It can take us away from that, our inner conversation. And I felt like as I was going through my week this week, that I somehow, with some people and even with myself, was functioning as the self-talk and inner conversation policeman. Because there were people that were around me that I would hear say things like, I'm so disorganized. And I never have good luck with people at the bank. Every time I go up there, I always seem to run into problems. And my friends just don't seem to understand me. And as I heard people say those things, I found myself correcting them and saying, no. Unless you want to continue to manifest disorganization, stop saying how disorganized you are. If you want to have a good experience at the bank, stop talking about how often you always have problems with people at the bank. I had to say those things, and I even had to say them to myself, because the thing of it is, and there's really 2 points that I have this morning, and it's that simple. The first of the fact of the matter is that we have to become self-aware. Self-aware of what it is that we are saying. And if you want to know what it is that you're saying to yourself, And for some people, this is going to seem kind of hard when I say this, but if you really want to know what the real content of your inner conversation is, look around you and see what's manifesting in your life. And if what's manifesting in your life is not what it is that you wish to have and experience, chances are it's because what you are saying to yourself is not really reflective of what it is that you say you really desire. And that's hard for some people to hear. And it's not to be about blaming people and trying to shame people and make people feel guilty or anything like that, but it's really about self-awareness. It's really about that if I wish for my life to change, if I wish for my life to be different, if I wish for my life to be better, then I've got to do better. And the way that I do better is the things that I say, the things that I accept that others say and I don't accept that others say. But those kinds of things I have to recognize and realize that when I become aware of those things, and then because I have the tools, and we've talked about the tools all last month and we're continuing to talk about those tools, and when I have the tools, I can put those tools into action and those things in place and change my inner conversation. And as I change my inner conversation, things around me and outside of me change. So we have to be aware of what it is. We also can be helpful to others that are around us by being aware of what they say. Because see, they can catch us up in it and we don't even realize it until we're caught up. You see somebody, you say, good morning. They say, what's so good about it? Ain't much happening. It was tough getting in this morning. Traffic was terrible. My dog was grouchy. My cat didn't really even come out to say goodbye. And next thing you know, you're agreeing, yeah, you know, that's right. Yeah, traffic was bad. You know, Memphis traffic is getting worse. Yeah, I don't understand why they decide to do construction here, and there, all at the same time. And next thing you know, you had said, I'm going to start my day with love, joy, and peace. And all of a sudden they got you down where they are. When we become self-aware, someone says to us, well, what's so good about it? Even if you don't share with them all of the things that you feel that are good about it, what you can accept and what you can say to yourself makes the difference. Some of us know, some of us have been in places where there's some people that are morning people, some people that are not morning people. There's some people that are not dating anything at all. No matter what time. But when we are self-aware, then it moves us into the second component of what I'm here to talk about this morning. And that's self-management. Self-management, self-awareness, self-management. Chad Helmstetter talks about the fact that motivational speakers and motivational speaking doesn't necessarily do it for people, because what happens is you go to a motivational speech, you come to Open Heart, and I will stand up, or Charles will stand up, or someone will stand up before you, and they'll get you rallied up and fired up, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to change my life and change my thinking. I'm going to be affirmative and positive. I'm going to do all those things, and we're here, and you get that, and you feel good, and you stand up straight, and you're walking around the room, and everybody else is coming up to you, and yeah, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that too, I'm ready for it, and I'm ready for it too, and we're all affirming that, and we're all good, and we have the affirmations flashing, and yeah, that's mine, that's the one that I'm going to choose, and that's going to be my motto for this week, because, you know, it's not my circus, and it's not my monkey, so yeah, I'm going to use that one, I'm going to allow it to be the one that I'm going to use, and everything's going good, and you know, and you walk out of here. And then life happens. And all that motivation, something happened to it. Because it's external. And external motivation can only go so far. I mean, I hold all of you in a positive light, and I spend time thinking about the people of Open Heart, and I set my intentions, and I practice the presence, and I do all of that. But ultimately, we can only go so far for another person. I remember reading someone who said that we take our first breath alone, and we take our last breath alone. First breath when we're born, and our last breath when we transition. And then some people then expect somebody else to breathe for them all the way in between. I can only take you so far, and others can only take you so far, that ultimately self-management, that when you make the decision that I'm going to be mindful of what it is that I say, that I'm going to be actively engaged in the conversations and developing positive scripts, so that as things happen, I say the things that I need to say that really reflect what it is that I wish to experience in life. And as I reminded us last week, it's not going to happen overnight. It doesn't happen just because one day you say it and it's going to just immediately happen. Because remember, we are up against all of those years of negative programming, all of those times of being said that you can't and you won't and you never will be and it won't happen for you, and all of those things. So we have to be diligent about it. And I remember watching the video. Some of you saw the video with me this past week, I believe it was, in our class, where Dr. Joe Dispenza got up and he asked the question, how many of you believe that you create your reality by your thoughts? And everybody that was in there raised their hand, so nobody wanted to be left out, but everybody raised their hand. And then he said, I don't believe you. He said, because if you really did believe that, you would never miss the opportunity, never miss an opportunity to be exactly focused on how you want to start your day and what it is that you wish to experience. That rather than letting our day and our environment influence and control us, we make the decision to influence and control our environment. And rather than the first thing we do is we grab our smartphone or we pick up our tablet or whatever and get involved in the stuff that's happening around the world, and turn on the television and look at all the crime and the murder and the corruption and all of those things, but to take time to set intention, to take time to go into the silence, to take time to turn within, to take time to become centered, to take time to be focused, to take time to make time to do what it is that we need to do to live the life that we want to live. And one thing I want to leave with you is that when you catch yourself saying something like, I'm so disorganized, I want you to add something to that. Up until today. Traffic's always bad, and it puts me in a foul mood as I'm on my way to work. Up until today. I never win anything, I never do anything right. Up until today. Because today, as Raymond Charles Barker says, is the day that you use the power of decision. That from this moment on, I'm going to be better, I'm going to do better, I'm going to experience better, I'm going to talk better, because I know better, and I am better. So it is.
So it is.
Amen.